Good morning. I want to talk about this magnificent Sagittarius full moon. It feels like there's been this huge zip file just like dropped down into my being, and I've unpacked it, but I'm trying to figure out how to unpack it for you to unpack what I can share. How to distill it. So I'm going to do my best. This will probably be a long video, but there's a lot of good stuff. So just be patient with me. So I want to start by saying that I was having a conversation with my good friend Kate Shantz, and she shared something she channeled with me, and it led us to talking about the Orion constellation. And I had all of these things coming through about Orion. I actually went into the records and asked about Orion. And I heard my guide say, you're not going to believe the Sabian Symbol. Like, you're just not going to believe it. And for the full moon. And I didn't check it for a while because I wanted to let all of this information come in. And then I wanted to see what the symbol was. So, I think maybe a lot of you know, but maybe some of you don't. The Orion constellation aligns, or I should say the pyramids align with the Orion constellation. And not just the pyramids in Egypt, other pyramids as well, like pyramids in Chichen Itza and other places around the world. And when I went into the records, I saw that we were using these pyramids to access that ancient knowledge of Orion, that Orion holds the myths that we live out on Earth. So all the stars hold the stories and the tales of time that we're reflecting down here. We're living them out in our earthly lives. And we are adding to those myths and creating, living them out differently as different individuals in different times. But it's the same basic archetype or story, right? And it's up to us how we live it out and what characters we're going to play and all of this. And so we do this individually. We do it on an individual level. I've actually lived out one of these great myths, and I'm going to say like the most central myth is the Osiris myth, because it shows us the whole process of spiritual evolution. It shows us the process of life and death, and this myth came to be actually when death was a new thing. Like when we gradually descended from a spiritual form to a physical form. We densified over millions of years. And this Osiris myth came to be when we started to experience death, which was a new thing as a physical being. So, while I was marinating on all of this, Actually, let me go ahead and just tell you the Osiris myth. If you're not familiar with it, I'm going to try to just give you a shorter version of it. So, Osiris and Set were brothers, and Set was jealous of Osiris, and so he murdered him, and he cut him into 14 pieces, and he spread those pieces along the Nile. And, Isis, there's actually a longer version, but I'm just giving you the real quick one. Isis went and collected each piece of him. She remembered him. And she established a temple wherever she found a piece. And then when she put him back together, the only part that was missing was his phallus. And she made one out of gold, or I think one story might be out of crystal. And she divinely conceived the child Horus. And so, Osiris is over the veil, but somehow she's using his reassembled body in this ritual. And you can see like the carvings. They're in my priestess presentation of Isis standing over Osiris and Horus standing on the other end, and a falcon coming down. It's either a falcon or a hawk, which represents like the Holy Spirit coming down to copulate with Osiris and conceive this this son of God, this son child, Horus. So we see these archetypes play out again and again and again with, you know, the myth of, or not the myth, but the story of Christ and Mary and all of that. So after Horus is born, he makes it his mission to defeat Set, to defeat evil. And Set actually cuts out one of Horus's eyes. And the god Thoth comes and helps restore Horus's sight. And he, this is what we see as the Eye of Horus. So this is like regaining your intuition. It's like the third eye. And so Horus gifts this eye to Osiris, who's over the veil, and it creates this bridge between heaven and earth. And while I was marinating on all of this, I was just scrolling on Instagram and I saw Matthias De Stefano come on. I saw a replay of a live where he was up in Antarctica, and something told me I needed to watch this. And what he described is that at the North Pole we have the Eye of Odin, and at the South Pole we have the Eye of Horus. And you'll see similarities between these stories of Odin and Horus as well. And so he said that he was on a mission to open the Eye of Odin, which would open the crown chakra of the earth and open the rainbow bridge, bridging heaven and earth. And what I see with these myths, I mean, obviously it's infinite, it's endless what you can gather from them, but I'm just going to hone in on a few themes, which is the two eyes. The two eyes, it's like the masculine and the feminine. And when we're in this physical world, we only see duality, but really there's a trinity. We have a third eye as well, and the third eye is what connects all of us. It connects us all. It sees the bigger picture. And so I feel like that is what this Eye of Odin also represents. So all this stuff is happening, and I'm just like blown away. There's so much more I could tell you, but I'm going to tell you what the Sabian symbol is for this full moon. It's the pyramids and the Sphinx. Reclaim and embody established teachings that pass the test of time. And I went into the records to sort of to ask about Orion, and I'll just read what I got. Okay, I'll read a part of it here. I told you about the pyramids, how we accessed the knowledge from the pyramids of Orion. Now, as we begin to expand our consciousness, can we hold more love and more awareness? Can we see how the adversarial forces have served us, that they were created by the Creator to make us stronger, to push us beyond our limits, so we may see what's possible, to create problems so big that we have the opportunity to innovate with incredible new solutions, to enforce such scientific materialist tyranny on the people that they remember their soul, they remember their spirit. Can we forgive them and be free? May we remind them of the light they came from and that they hold within them too. This is not about saving, it's about showing the way. So what I was getting from this is that these enemies that we have, like Set, they are a part of us. They're another part of us. And when we gain that eye of Horus or that eye of Odin, we realize that. And we have the opportunity to have compassion for them and to forgive them. And this does not mean that we allow them to take advantage of us. So that's why I'm saying it's this nuanced thing. It's, can you hold the awareness of the higher perspective and live from your heart? And can you also navigate this 3D world and have discernment and make the right choices for yourself? Because when we make the right choices for ourselves, we're supporting everybody making the right choices for themselves. And the more that we make choices from our heart, the more that becomes possible for humanity. So you see, we're living out this Osiris myth on the macro scale. We're living this out through thousands of years. And we're living it out in our own lives on the micro scale as well. Each one of our lives, we get these opportunities where we have to face our adversarial forces. And we get the choice of how do we navigate that. I've lived this Osiris myth myself. I know it, and I feel like, when I reflect on it, I feel like I've done the best that I could. And there's this point as well where sometimes we have to come to peace with where somebody else is at, how damaged somebody else may be. And that's where like the compassion comes in as well, and the grace. And I can send that person love, I can send that person compassion, but they have to be open to wanting something better. They have to be open to receiving that love and compassion. And as a sovereign being, there's nothing you can change about other people. The only thing you can change is yourself. And so the other thing with this full moon is it is conjunct the Great Attractor, which is a deep space object that has this gravitational pull. It is like pulling everything towards it. And so I went into the records to learn more about this Great Attractor. I first heard about it from Pam Gregory, actually, in an interview. Oh, I can't remember the other woman's name, but I heard it in an interview. I think her first name might be Jennifer. I think I mentioned it in my last video, possibly. But anyway, I first heard it from them, and then I realized that this full moon is conjunct this Great Attractor at 14 degrees, the 14 pieces. So what I got from the records about the Great Attractor is that it is like the glue. It's the glue for these 14 pieces. But I was shown like an arrow, and if we, like, I guess because this Sagittarius energy, also my friend Kate mentioned an arrow in her channeling. I was shown this arrow, and when you shot the arrow at the Great Attractor, if it was not aligned with love, it would bounce off. It would refract anything that wasn't aligned with love. And if it was aligned with love, it would penetrate, and it would take these objects to a higher dimension. And this Great Attractor was like a spiral and a torus field, and it held all of the stories of like the time, the universe. And she told me, I saw it as a she told me that it's like the threshold for humans, like the threshold of death, except that it's for a whole galaxy. And we will pass through this threshold as a galaxy when we are all aligned with love. And so she was, she said it may take eons and eons and eons, right? And it feels weird to be talking about something so far in the future, but I think it's good to look at the past, look at the future where we're headed, so we can assess our now moment and our will and what are we headed towards. Because I think we all know this as a basic spiritual principle to align with love, but there's this awareness of what the adversarial forces are giving us the opportunity to do or to develop, and that's strength. That's why they were put here, because it's all a part of the one. So if you think of the one as God or the universe, whatever you want to call it, they were like, okay, so we have these beings, but I want these beings to grow, and I want these beings to eventually re-spiritualize. How do I get them to do that? Oh, I need to put adversarial forces in place. It's just like exercising. I don't really always want to exercise, but if I do, I get stronger. And so that's what these forces are here to help us learn, is how to become stronger, how to develop discernment, how to develop our soul. And I know a lot of people have this very sort of, I don't know if I want to call it an Eastern view. I don't know what to call it, but some people are like, I'm just here to be joy and bliss. And it's like, yeah, and we're here to grow, and growth is inevitable. We're here in this reality, this physical reality, where nature goes through cycles. Nature has life and death. We're here to change and keep going with the flow and learning from what happens. And where we get ourselves in trouble is when we decide to stay fixated on the things that were hard and to stay in the victim mindset. And yes, we are victims at points, but the invitation at some point in that journey is to step out of it and become that survivor, and then to thrive and to come out of it more enlightened. And so I really feel like that is what humanity is gaining an awareness of, whether they can articulate it or not, or are consciously aware of it or not. It's this part in the myth where Thoth is giving us the eye of Horus. He's giving us the eye to be able to see beyond and to create this bridge between heaven and earth. Which brings me to more messages. This is like the longest astro update ever, but there was so much. So I also kept getting this message about connecting with crystals and connecting with the crystalline grid, because there are a lot of technologies right now that are using the crystal technology to communicate with our brains. We have crystals on our pineal gland. There are ways to do this, and it's not all in our best interest. But if we're aware of this, we can take that opportunity to override these systems that are not aligned with our highest good. And this was, what they were showing me was like programming crystals with intention for your own life, but then also they're showing me groups of us connecting with the earth and the heavens and connecting with this crystal grid and channeling this energy that is coming through from the heavens to the earth, and sort of creating those bridges around the world in groups. And there's so many codes that come from the earth, not just the sun, and that's sort of like connecting them, right? And the other thing is that the people who would be gathering and doing this would have to have the awareness to do it. And most people have their hearts open, who would be doing this. So it's this heart energy that wants to grow in humanity, and that is what will help us override the technologies that are coming out that may not be for our highest good. And that is, like, I've written about this before, how AI is the opportunity for us to access our innate intelligence, our spiritual intelligence, our intuition. And so, yeah, there's a lot going on with this full moon. I'm gathering a group of people where we can do this. You can do it on your own too. If you just want to connect with the earth and connect with the heavens and see what comes through, and even just walking around outside. I mean, you don't even have to be super intentional about it, but even better if you are, and even better if you can gather more people to do this together with, like meditating or setting a heartfelt intention around it. It's really going to help sort of balance out these forces, because that is the point we're coming to in human evolution in general. We have been coming out of the Kali Yuga and we're coming into the Dwapara Yuga according to the Vedic cycles. And the Dwapara Yuga is more about having a balance of dark and light. Kali Yuga was way too much dark, or as much dark as there was supposed to be to make us stronger. And the Dwapara is about bringing it to a balance. So I don't see, I think if we're realistic, it's not about like light defeating darkness. It's about becoming aware at this point and being sovereign beings, becoming sovereign beings, and really getting in touch with our own intuition and our own agency, so that we can navigate this world that will make our own lives better, and also show people what that is, show people what sovereignty is, show them what a heartfelt life looks like, what a life connected to nature and not totally ruled by technology looks like. And I'm not condemning technology. Look, I'm right here going live, and it's been amazing to meet all these different people. But you see, this is the vision that this moon is opening up, is the nuance of how can I use everything in my existence right now as a tool? How can I use the friction to become stronger? And there's also like, we need to be able to feel everything. I don't want that to sound like you're never gonna have hard days, because that's important too. It's important to feel everything. And I just feel like they're showing me this channel. Like, can we just be channels for this energy to flow through? And when we can surrender to the divine and rediscover that agency, that's when we can live this very aligned life. And now I feel like I'm getting a little too in the nitty gritty, where, yeah, I don't want to say too much, but all of this made me think of this Rudolf Steiner quote, which is, there is no right or wrong. There's only healthy and unhealthy. And I loved that, because I feel like that's looking at your life and looking at situations and saying, like, is this aligned with natural law? Is this aligned with the greatest good? My greatest good, the higher good of others? It's really as simple as looking at things that way from your own perspective. And we're really just in charge of us, And so one other thing I wanted to mention from the Great Attractor, she said, this was so cool. She said, love will set you free. Okay, hold on. Let me get to Seek the true self and be free. Imagine your heart, and more will penetrate this great attractor energy in your life. You will never know what is possible until you dare to be your truest self. Notice the reflections, ones that are not of love. Imagine them transmuted into love. This is where forgiveness comes in, compassion, and with this great attractor energy, you see the bigger picture. You wish all well, even those who appear to make life hell. Love will set you and them free. It's all us and it's all you. Do you wish to treat you with reverence and respect, or do you wish to reject yourself? The choice is always yours. Boundaries. Oh, I asked about boundaries because that's where this can get muddy, where people think if you're saying everyone's me and it's all love and light, that you can't set boundaries with people. But she was saying that when you set boundaries for yourself, you're showing other people that they can respect themselves as well. So it's all a mirror of us. It's all a mirror of our internal world. So if we can really just do the best to love ourselves as we are and to express ourselves as our truest selves, then we show other people that that is possible. And that's like, I don't know, I can't think of another way that would be better to really help people than to encourage them to love themselves and that they're worthy and that they deserve a great life and they deserve to make their own choices. So, with all of that, maybe I'll just end with a few cards. I know this has been a long one. I'll pull one from my Atlantis deck. The other thing that's really cool is I feel like Jupiter on the North Node in Taurus is really helping be this anchor point for us while all of this like higher energy is channeling in. It's like we can also go out in nature and see all of these myths. We can see all of these codes that are showing us the secrets of existence. Oh, Fountain of Youth. Age does not exist when you are timeless. And there it is, the divine child, the masculine and the feminine, the trinity coming together. It's being born, you know, like we're working on this and we all can embody this consciousness. And sometimes it takes really hard things in our life to break us open to receive it. But it's just a part of our process. We chose it. And then I've got to pull an Isis card with all of this Egyptian mythology coming into play. Let's see what Isis has to show us for the full moon. Past life, present power, the many spiritual faces of you. Wow, there's so much about time here. And this makes me think of the cosmic hourglass. I'll have to repost that. It's like it's all happening at the same time. This is just like a tiny facet of it, but everything that we do transforms the past and the future. Everything in the present. So if we can live our present moments from that heartfelt space, it's really transforming. It's transforming it all. And there's, you know, with these remembrances that I'm talking about, it also feels like it's awakening, like the Sabian Symbol says. It says, reclaiming old teachings that pass the test of time. What I think of is like what you've learned in all these other lifetimes when our consciousness may have been in a higher vibration. All of that is on the table for us to access now. We're bringing it back, but we never want to go back and do it exactly the same way. The purpose is to take the tools and use them now and to use it in whatever way it needs to be applied now so that we keep evolving this story. This is what contributes to the human evolution. And then I want to bring us down to earth and pull a card from my tree angel deck. This flew out. Alder. Oh my gosh. She's beautiful. You see the light coming down from the sky and through her and then down to the earth. And something else that this reminds me of that came through this morning was we're all channels. We're all vessels. We're all an expression of the divine, and it's just up to you whether you tap into that and are conscious of it or not. But let's see what this card says. Alder. The alder stands beside the stream and the water rushes past. The alder lets it swirl by, and the stream too leaves the alder in peace. The stream supplies water and protects the alder from drying out. The alder shades the stream and protects it from becoming too warm. They sustain each other without trying to change one another. Let things be. Perfection. A breeze caresses the leaves and the heavens smile. The angel of alder heightens emotion and empathy, acceptance and forgiveness. The alder offers great comfort. It calms and supports us in letting go of pain from the past and healing old scars. Her secret is in release and letting life flow. Just rely on the alder and listen to the splashing of the stream, letting go of everything that is causing you pain, sorrow, grief, rage, hate, and bitter tears. Surrender it all to the earth and her helpers to be transformed into fruitfulness. Allow yourself to be purified, and in doing so, cleanse yourself. The alder is also the Norn of the past. Her secret ability lies in non-attachment to everything except the ground on which she stands. It is through this that she teaches us the gentle and essential art of release and of letting go. Emotions are linked with the element of water. They represent energy that must flow in order for life to continue. If we hold them in and bottle them up, we become hard and stiff, inhibited and obstructed. This leads to physical and spiritual paralysis and eventually to long-term physical and emotional pain. Rigid discipline replaces spontaneity and compassion. All good reasons for allowing one thing to flow into another, just like the alder. I love that, and it's really wild. Like, as I was reading that, my right shoulder just started to hurt so much. I feel like I get into that rigidity, that like the discipline. I've got a lot of Capricorn, so it's part of my design. But I'm gonna pull one more because I want to know about this. Like, I think it's just, let it flow. Don't feel like you have to control it all and nail it all down. That's the message for me. Woo! And this flipped out. Miracles. There's the rainbow bridge. So it feels like there's just so much. I always say this. There's so much assistance beyond the veil, and we are the bridges. We're the bridges to receive it. And there's so much that we don't understand still as well. There's so much mystery, and if we really are just open to go with the flow, like the card says, and to align with our hearts and feel our feelings and just go with the flow, that's when these miracles happen. Things that we couldn't even believe were possible. So yeah, this full moon feels mega blessed. I love it. And I also keep hearing, like, just be the eye of the storm. Whatever happens, just try not to judge it. Like, it's the way things need to play out, so that everybody gets these opportunities to awaken and to see the light. So I hope you guys have a wonderful full moon. I didn't even get to talk about the sun, but I think this has been long enough. And maybe I'll share some other things as they come through. But yeah, thanks for being here, and I love you guys.